Here we are, we locked down in different cities, and our virtual connection falls apart. Guess it's been too many years since California. Now the memories of us is all I have. See, one day I'm gonna reach ya, take a plane for many miles. We pretend that time didn't pass us by when we're on Mulholland Drive. I know it won't be long before dawn, gotta be patient for a while. Someday we'll look at stars in this same sky when I'm on the other side. Take me back to the life that we once knew, when the walls weren't closing in like they are now. Cause it's been too many years since California. I wish I could get there, I don't know how. See, one day I'm gonna reach ya, take a plane for many miles. We pretend that time didn't pass us by when we're on Mulholland Drive. I know it won't be long before dawn, gotta be patient for a while. Someday we'll look at stars in the same sky when I'm on the other side.
I'm here only because your stare won't ever let me go. I'm here only cause I'm aware with you is better than all alone. Oh, 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 say what you're dying to say. No, oh, oh, tonight we're stars but we'll fade away. Go on, light me up, oh, go on, light me up while we're golden. Come on, light me up, oh, come on, light me up before we come down. Stars will always come down, so before we come down, down, down. Go on, light me up, oh, go on, light me up while we're golden. Come on, light me up, oh, come on, light me up before we come down. Between now until we go home. Oh, 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 say what you're dying to say. No, oh, oh, tonight we're stars but we'll fade away. Oh, go on, light me up, oh, go on, light me up while we're golden. Come on, light me up, oh, come on, light me up before we come down. Stars will always come down.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into Season 4 of Tuesday Night Thunder. Race 2 live here from the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. Joining me, as always, my co-host here on Tuesday nights, Dawson Wise. Dawson, how you feeling here tonight?
Great edition of Tuesday Night Thunder. Last week was some awesome racing, really throughout the whole race, really that first stage. I hope these guys can do it again. It's a great field that we got here tonight. I'm ready.
Yeah, and of course, Matthew Baker, don't forget, caught his first win in race 1, which was last week. So he's already feeling pretty good. I think at this point, it is all just icing on the cake and house money for him at this point. So we'll be keeping an eye on him here tonight. All right, here we go. Let's get right down trackside and get things kicked off tonight with your starting grid. Taking the pole, it's going to be Garrett Maines. Just got done with the Coke Series race at Richmond. I believe he ended up getting a top 10, so looking to build on that momentum with potentially his first win of Season 4 here tonight. On his outside, we'll start Dale Cup's Cody Nagels. He makes a return tonight. Back in third, it's Jeff Merck for NBG. Jason Maines will roll off fourth with Matthew Baker, last week's winner, in fifth. J.R. Miller for PGR eSports in 6th, David Sheets in 7th, John Mullihan back in 8th with Kenneth Stamper in 9th, and Trevor Osronoff for KSR rounding out your top 10.
Another KSR car starts inside of row number 6. It's Thomas Parker. To his outside of him, McCullough's Mark Mondell. Row 7 will be Jason Kelly. His first start was last week, looking to build on it this week. And Tony Cox, he'll start from 14th in the 72. Row 8, Mike Davenport for Team PGR, and Jared Haynes in the 7. Row 9, Team Owner for Team PGR, and owner of PGR eSports, that's Michael Triscaro. He'll start from 17th. To his outside, the Little Guys Series winner from last night, Logan York in the 02. 19th will be Brock Westmoreland. Chris McCullough will start from 20th. It'll be Kenny McCullough and Tucker McClendon on row 11, and Stephen Harper and Jimmy Emos on row number 12.
And that rounds out your starting grid tonight. Let's get right now down to your race info. Race number 2 on the season. We are back in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, back at Talladega Superspeedway. 2.65 miles in length is this Super Speedway, 1 of 2, of course, alongside Daytona International Speedway, but Talladega a little bit wider, a little bit faster, and the start-finish line is a little bit further, track bigger in length as well, by about 0.15 miles. Well over 30 degrees of banking down in the corners of this Super Speedway. Speed's going to be well over 195 miles an hour, with a lot of bump drafting and a lot of 2-3, maybe even some 4-wide racing tonight, depending on how crazy these guys get and how early they start to go at it. 60 laps the scheduled distance tonight. Everybody does have 40% fuel, unlimited tires, but the big change, one of the changes for this season, Dawson, no fast pairs. Ooh, thought we heard trouble in the back there. It sounded like somebody may have blown a motor, and I think Jimmy Emos very well may have. And actually, no, what we're having here is everybody's bailing into the pits here. What do you make of this, Dawson? You think these guys are putting up a new session?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to guess and say. Looking for guys on track, and everybody's diving off the racetrack now. They're jockeying up front. Yeah, I take it something went wrong here.
Yep, Logan York confirming for us in the chat that they are putting up a new session. This one had unlimited fast pairs, which of course goes against everything we were just talking about in race info. So we'll go ahead and break that down a little bit for you here as we also transition over to this next session. So again, Tuesday Night Thunder still going to be coming your way. A little bit of a brief delay here, but hey, that gives us some more time, anticipation to get rolling and bring the fireworks to life here tonight. As Mike Davenport maybe practicing a little bit of celebrations here later. And so, again, as these guys all continue to work their way down to the pits, getting a little practice, we will get another session up. We will get in, hopefully just a short practice. I'm not sure if they're going to redo qualifying or if they'll keep the grid. We'll have all that information and more here in just a little while. Until then, we are going to put ourselves back on intermission. And again, if you need any updates, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We'll let you know how things are going, and we should be back here pretty shortly. Stick with us. We'll be back for Tuesday Night Thunder, Race 2. Hello, everybody. Welcome back into Tuesday Night Thunder. Normally, this would be kind of our first intro, but we've already had a chance to greet you all here tonight. But it's good to see anybody that's just tuning in. Did have to put up a new session. That's why there was a bit of a delay. Normally, we would have been getting things started probably about 10 to 15 minutes ago. But nonetheless, we're back. Re-qualifying is underway. As again, everybody's going to have a chance here to re-qualify, and we'll take a look at that, talk about some things here before we get started. But as mentioned before, didn't get a chance to hear from him too much, but Dawson joining me back in the booth, and, you know, we're back. Dawson, going to try this thing again. How are we feeling for tonight?
Feeling good. Obviously feeling good again here the second time around with a second session, but no, feeling good after last week. A lot of momentum coming off last week's race. It was a lot of fun to watch. Had a ton of action, some great racing. I could seriously gush about these cars all night long, but they're a lot of fun. These guys make it a lot of fun, and hopefully we put on a good show again tonight.
Couldn't agree more, and as you said, going to be a lot of fun here tonight if we are in for anything even close to what we had last week, where, of course, Matthew Baker got his first win of the season in race number 1. So the pressure's off for the number 5 car tonight. He's just playing with house money, going to be seeing if he can maybe snag a little bit of extra money before we, of course, get to the end of the regular season. Speaking of Matthew Baker, looks like he puts down your first time, takes the pole momentarily. That's not going to stand for too long. Now, again, the way qualifying works, all these guys get 2 laps in total, but it is the NBG teammate to Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck, who steals it. Here's a lap for Tony Cox, and as he crosses the stripe, looks like he's going to put down, well, it wasn't a bad lap. Looks like for now it's going to put him 7th, last on the board for the moment, but still a lot of guys that have to qualify, and so things could certainly change. And just over 2 minutes left in qualifying is Jeff Merck. Looks like still going around. I believe this is going to be him practicing a pit stop, as now he has, again, completed his lap. The number 60 Blue Angels Chevy Camaro going to be showing a lot of speed here tonight. But, you know, what do you make of some of these other teams? I mean, we've seen, in general, some of the drivers from MVG on the tear recently. We talked about Baker, but of course can't forget about the finish that Jeff Merck had as well last Tuesday. And, you know, Baker, he won in the 500-mile race, the Automatics 500 on Sunday over at McCullough Motorsports. So if you're one of these other teams, how do you really bring them a stop to their momentum?
I'm not sure there is a way to stop their momentum. I mean, these guys are going to try. I know Team PGR has been working very hard. They've got a strong contingent in this field tonight. I know KSR has been working very hard. They've got a decent contingent in this field tonight. I mean, Trevin Osbornoth, he could win on any given night. He just comes across the line, qualifies 8th. He could win in any car on any given night, so he's one to watch. I mean, you got to dig deep if you want to beat some of these guys that are running at the front, you know, try to get track position, put the pressure on them. I think that's going to be the strategy to try to beat those guys tonight, but it's so hard to do. I mean, we see Baker and Merck and company run up front all the time. It's hard to get them off their game, but they gotta start early and start often, get to the front, take their track position away. Yeah,
you just saw Michael Triscaro finish his lap. Puts him 3rd on the board officially, as it's actually Garrett Maines who will reclaim the top spot. Had it in the last session, so no love lost there for the number 1 machine. And looking like that is just about going to wrap up qualifying. Jason Kelly, the last car still out on track, but as he is going to bring it to the pits here off a tow, looks like that will just about officially wrap up qualifying here for race 2 for Tuesday Night Thunder. Again, for anybody just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching Austin Green and Dawson Wise on PGR eSports, taking over a little bit here for the Tuesday Night Thunder series. So if you're new to the channel and you like what you watch tonight, make sure you do leave us a follow. It certainly helps a lot. But with just 10 seconds now left in qualifying, the drivers will turn their attention trackside, get ready to go green, and so will we. Going to send us off to a little pre-race introduction here, a little ad, if you will. We'll be right back to get into your starting grid and race info for the start of Tuesday Night Thunder Race 2. All right, here we go. Qualifying complete. We're ready to go, and so are the drivers as they get gridded up. Let's take a look at your refined starting order here for the night. And it is still Garrett Maines who takes the pole here in Session 2. Got it done in Session 1. Looks like the lap maybe a little bit slower, but nonetheless, still gets the job done. Jeff Merck will roll off second. That's the first NBG driver in the field tonight. Michael Triscaro, series owner for PGR eSports. He rolls off third. Jason Maines back in fourth. That's Matthew Baker, last week's winner. Rounding out your top 5, David Sheets from McCullough Motorsports. He will start 6th with J.R. Miller in 7th. Kenneth Stamper for KSR in 8th. John Mullihan, good to see him in the field here tonight. He will roll off 9th. And Thomas Parker rounding out your top 10.
Brock Westmoreland for PGR on the outside. Row 7, starting 13th will be Mark Vondell, and Mike Davenport to his outside. Row 8, Tony Cox in the 72, and David Drohan in the 42. It'll be Jared Haynes and Jimmy Emos on row number 9. Row 10, Jason Kelly in the 23, Logan York in the 02. As we mentioned, the little guys winner from last night. Row 11 is going to be all McCulloughs, Chris McCullough and Kenny McCullough. And rounding out the field tonight, Tucker McClendon in the 12 and Stephen Harper in the 27.
And that brings us back into your race info, which is kind of the thing that made us switch sessions. It is race 2 of the season here at Talladega Superspeedway. One of the 2 super speedways that we're going to head to in the series. Daytona, of course, the other one, 2.65 miles in length. The distance around Talladega Superspeedway. Over 30 degrees of banking in the corners. It is a lot wider than Daytona. And again, of course, a little bit longer, about 0.15 miles longer in that fact. Track temp tonight, that's going to be the thing to keep your eye on. Scorching 127 degrees starting this race. So, you know, we saw tire wear be a little bit of an issue last week, Dawson. It's certainly going to be a lot worse here tonight. Weather outside, 74 degrees, 42% humidity. Partly cloudy skies, winds at 4 miles an hour. And the setup for race 2, 60 laps the distance tonight. There will be a stage break at lap 20. Everybody does have 40% fuel, unlimited tires, no fast repair. That's the big change that we saw last week. And of course here tonight, fixed setups as always. And again, that stage break that we just mentioned will come at the end of lap 20, the start of lap 21. So you got the field that's going to be in the hands here of Garrett Maines and Jeff Merck to start this race. And 20-lap sprint, Dawson, you know, it's really not that far of a distance to go, and normally you'd be hearing us say it's going to be a sprint, but there's still a scheduled pit stop in between now and the end of stage 1, so definitely still some strategy play that we're going to have to watch for within these first 20 laps.
Oh, we saw it play into last week's race. We saw that kind of determine track position towards the end of stage 1, and it resulted in Jeff Merck being able to cycle forward and win the stage ultimately when all was said and done. So we'll see if it factors in tonight, gets somebody a stage win, gets somebody some points, and helps them towards making the playoffs.
All right, here we go. Pace car making its way off of turn number 4 for the first time here tonight. Strong field yet again. Everybody ready to go. Session has been fixed. 37 minutes or so behind schedule. But hey, Tuesday night racing is getting ready to get underway. Tuesday Night Thunder, race number 2 at the fastest track in all of NASCAR. Garrett Maines shifts down into second gear, ready to go, as does Jeff Merck. Into the restart zone they go. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Talladega.
Lap 1 led by Jeff Merck, with Garrett Maines flanking him to his left elbow. Both lines pushing 5 cars deep now as Osmanoff joins the fray up on the top side. Now David Drohan and Mike Davenport get to join the fray as well. So 7 rows deep here, 2 by 2. Couple cars out further back, but now they start to get in line For now, the two wide racing goes about 7 rows deep here at the front of the field. About 20 cars in our lead draft. Headed to 3, Garrett Maines back to the point.
And that push on the inside was what really kept Garrett on point as they enter turn number 3, because Jeff Merck on the outside, that's the lane that I think we're going to see get a lot of momentum here tonight with this hot track temp. And another thing that's going to be interesting is you saw right there, Garrett Maines jump up. He's controlling lanes early, but man, Dawson, when you jump up the track like that, the car kind of has to restance itself, and once these tires start to wear out with that hot of a track temp, making those moves might get a little sketchy. But so far so good as Garrett Maines leads him across the stripe. Michael Triscaro now leads the bottom through 1.
Triscaro, Baker, Miller, top 3 on the bottom. J.R. Miller coming off a few great runs. He's been more consistent recently. Now runs just outside the top 5 in the 6th position right now. Only about 6 rows. Nope, back to 7. 2 wide as Mark Vondel tries to find his spot in line further back, about halfway deep in this lead track. Top 3 all connected on the top. That's going to allow Garrett Maines to surge back to the race lead in 3. Jeff Merck tight side draft with Jason Maines. Very close, intense racing here at the front. 5 cars deep as Vondel starts to fade in the mirror of Trevor Osbornoff. It's the KSR contingent in behind David Sheets. They're 2 deep tonight. They've got Thomas Parker in the field as well, running right behind them. They are lurking behind these leaders, but still Merck and Maines give that lap to Garrett Maines, lap 4 on the board.
And already you're starting to see the cars just fishtail around ever so slightly. Now remember, the whole package setup in general for these Xfinity cars much different than what we see in the trucks. We have heard some guys say that they feel like they race similar, but at the end of the day, you got to be a little bit more delicate with the pushing. These cars are a little bit more technical, but you see when you set it up right, you can make just as much progress. And you know, personally, Dawson, I know that we're broadcasting here tonight, but we've had the chance to drive these cars on multiple different occasions, and I prefer these a little bit more than the trucks because, again, there's a little bit of a finesse to it, and it's not just kind of that gridlock setup that we get after a couple laps in the trucks where everybody's 3 wide with nowhere to go. You've got to make sure you have good pushers. You got to make sure you're doing a good job at pushing if you want to make any progress, and if that's the case, you can make that 3rd, even 4th lane work at just about any time when you have a track temp this hot. 5 laps now completed as they cross the stripe this time. Michael Triscaro still leads on the bottom. Matthew Baker, notice what he's already doing. He has to back it up in the corners. He's trying to keep the temps under the hood of that 5 car cool, and it's heating up in a hurry here, so he'll give Triscaro another push down the back, but that outside is going to roll Garrett Maines clear again here before they get to 3.
I hate to call it throwback racing, but it almost seems like compared to the other cars, this is kind of the older style that we're used to, the finesse-based, you know, really arrow-pushing-based draft model that we're so used to now in these cars. It used to be the case in a lot of other cars. Now, it's kind of a rare form. It's only in this car. It takes a lot of finesse. It's more of an art form to try to push in these cars, and there's so many guys in this field that are good at it, and 2 of them are pushing right now. Triscaro on the bottom, Jason Maines up top, 2 of the better pushers in this car, and so far flexing muscle here at the front of the field in this early stage of the race. Maines to the front, Merck still second, but both lanes pushing hard. Triscaro going to get Maines clear again. Don't be surprised if the one goes back up the hill, but watch out! Michael Triscaro almost got that dreaded tunnel vision that we think about in these cars. Onto the super stretch, 2 wide starting to stack up about 10 rows deep now up in the middle lane as they're almost bouncing off each other halfway down the backstretch.
Yeah, and you see that 3rd car out of line, Mark Vondel, the 59. Don't think that 3rd lane was something he was hoping to take to the front of the field, but he may have a chance here with Logan York jumping up top, a couple rows up ahead, but Logan's going to get back down the line just in front of his teammate there, Tucker McClendon. That is 2 of the Blind Score Racing drivers. Now, I want to go to the back of the field here for a moment where it looks like Brock Westmoreland must have had some sort of issue as he was registered for this race but did not make the start. Just in front of him, and the last car currently on the track, Christopher McCullough. He's got a teammate, 2 of them actually, with Ken McCullough Jr. and Mark Vondel just in front of him. Now, everybody still together with this lead draft, but the way things are running right now, you can definitely tell some of these guys are feeling that pressure of no fast pair, and they'd rather make it to the end of this race than fight for stage points. And that's really kind of the 2 strategies there in a nutshell, Dawson. You either want to have your car at the front of the field in clean air where it's safe, or one of the couple guys towards the front, or you want to be all the way in the back. Never a fan to be one in the middle if there's not a faster pair available, because usually if there's a wreck, there's a good chance that you're going to end up in it from that position.
Yeah, the danger zone, the hornet's nest, whatever you want to call it, is the middle of the field in these kinds of super speedway races. You don't want to be right about where, well, let's see, Thomas Parker is right now, Logan New York, Trevor Osbornoff. That's the danger zone. That's where you don't want to be when there's no fast repair available to you. You want to be either where, you know, these first 2 rows are, or the last 2 rows are all the way at the tail end. So we'll see if these guys start to back it out. But for now, Everybody so far is pretty clean, pretty calm, minding their P's and Q's, not pushing too hard yet. The front guys in each line, Jeff Mert, Michael Triscaro, Jason Maines at times, are pushing the issue a little bit, but it hasn't been anything too much quite yet like we've seen in past weeks. So everybody keeping it clean for now. Third lane starting. It's the teammates, Logan York, Tucker McClendon. They're going to try to come forward in the third line. This is where this kind of racing starts to get dicey off 4.
Yeah, and it always has to start with a spark. 2 cars, Logan York, Tucker McClendon, the 2 teammates are going to be the first 2 to go, but don't be surprised if maybe they get another take, or the 98 of Jimmy Emos back there looking like he's just kind of creeping right now in the shadows, waiting to see if there's a move formed up for him to be able to make. And then the 27 of Stephen Harper, that's one of the new drivers this season. And so far, he's having a pretty good run. He's up 10 positions from where he started this race at, currently riding on the inside. And so, you know, you kind of see what happens there in the sense of when you jump up to that third lane, if you don't have the help, all it really does is kind of lose your momentum and scatter that second lane in terms of the cars in the general vicinity. So Logan, Tucker, they gave it a shot. There was nothing doing there. But as they jump back down the line, they start to get another run. Now Jimmy Emos looks like maybe he's ready to go. And I see Davenport, and it looked like the 42 of David Drohan starting to take a couple peeks out back.
This is the furthest the bottom line's gotten pit stops. Sean Mullahan's out of line. I think that's the McCullough contingent that's going to pit here on lap number 9. It is Sheets, Mullahan, Vondell, Chris McCullough, Kenny McCullough. So they split the stage in half. They come down here at lap 9. We expect the leaders here shortly, but it breaks up this front group. I was just saying the bottom line had gotten the biggest run they've gotten early in this race, but then they lost some contenders down there, and now they fade just a little bit again. Allows Garrett Maines to go right back to the lead, but his help is starting to evaporate. It's only Garrett Maines, Jeff Merck, Jason Maines on the top side of the racetrack. You got to go about 8 car lengths back to find Tucker McClendon, who I think is trying to find a spot in line. Pit stops appear to be imminent. Only 3 cars left on the outside.
Yeah, we'll see if they all decide to pit this time or if they stay out at least one more. But for the moment, yeah, Garrett Maines, Jeff Merck, and Jason Maines nowhere to go. They're going to have to try to squeak in line. Nope, nobody's going to bring it down this time. In fact, Matthew Baker does the polar opposite as he'll jump up to the outside. Not what we would expect when pit stops are on the horizon. And I think he's looking to see if he can maybe pick off the lead here from Michael Triscaro. He's going to do just that. Garrett Maines going to get clear as well. We'll see if Baker's able to pull both of them down. He sure enough does. Jeff Merck all but clear as well in the 60. It's not going to happen. Does Michael Triscaro let him down? No break will be given to the 60. And now that puts Baker to the lead for the first time here tonight with Garrett Maines in second, Michael Triscaro in third.
Well, nothing to lose for Matthew Baker. I mean, we talked about it at the top of the show. He won last week. He's got all the sweat off of him now for the next few weeks. He's locked in the playoffs as long as he makes 8 of the regular season races. So Matthew Baker, nothing to lose. He says, all right, well, I'm just going to go out there trying to get the lead. Sure enough, works out for him. And off of 4, now Jason Maines jumps out. Man, Jeff Park, that's a lonely place to be when you're by yourself and the help is that far back. He's going to have to look for a spot in line. He might get it right here in front of Michael Triscaro. Great work there on the bottom line to get Jeff Merck in. Lap 12 and most of the field now single file along the yellow line.
Yeah, and based off what we know in terms of fuel mileage here at a track like Talladega, we know about 50% is somewhere around 20 laps. These guys have 40, and so going to do a little bit less than that. We're thinking maybe at most, they can make it probably 16 laps would be my general guess. And so you still can't make it all the way, even if you save. You're just not going to save anywhere probably more than 2 laps. So I think that's going to play a big part in not only this stage, but the pit stops that we see after that. But how about the clean racing we've seen so far? Not nearly as many close calls as we had by this point last week. And as they still stay single file off of turn 4, they will stay out yet again. And now the big thing that we've been trying to keep an eye on here over the course of the last couple laps is which group has been running faster. When you have a group stay out versus a group that pit, it all becomes a matter of who can run the faster lap times. Now the McCullough Motorsports, it's a trio right now. John Mullahan, Christopher McCullough, and Ken McCullough Jr. Unfortunately, David Sheets, Mark Vondell fell a little bit behind, so they're separated. They're just going to try to stay on the lead lap, and if you look at the track map, they should have no problem doing that by the time this stage break is over. But as for John Mullahan and that group, looks like they're kind of hanging even. I don't think they're really gaining on anybody up front, so I'm not sure if this strategy is going to quite work out, Dawson, but it never hurts to give it a shot, especially when you have a stage break to kind of save you if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I don't blame him for trying it. We saw him try it last week as well. I think they had anticipated to get all 5 of their cars perhaps off the pit road together. It doesn't happen, so that kind of backfires as well. But I do respect trying it. Get away from the field. Get away from the possibility of a wreck. Get away from so many variables that are going to be in this lead draft when they come to pit road. It's an easier entrance. You know those guys are communicating with one another, so it's easier to get on and off pit road, and it's easier to execute and make your strategy happen. So I like the call. I don't think it's going to work for him, but I do like pitting before everybody else, getting a cleaner pit road. Now it's just up to when the leaders pit. You said they could go 16. That'd be about 2 laps from now, all but 2 cars. Now make it 1 car along the yellow line. Leaders, I think, are going to be coming either this time or next time.
Did you see the push that Garrett Maines just gave to Matthew Baker right on the exit of 2? That's usually the area that we're talking about. You can't push it all in. I mean, he slam drafted Matthew Baker, and it seemed like it worked out pretty fine. So clearly those two have got some chemistry together right now as they lead this long single file line with 14 laps complete at Talladega. And again, we got one sliding here into the pits, one in the grass. It's the 27, Stephen Harper, and Jimmy Emos as well. Harper goes around as he chooses to tow. Not sure if that was the right decision there for the 27. He could have got it back going with just a minor penalty. Now he's going to have to pay the tow bill. And he may have thought, actually, assuming maybe what he's figuring here is that it's not going to be that long, but I think I would have just drove out of that potentially and accepted the penalty as, now it looks like he's left the track completely. Not sure what happened on that. Looked like a pretty harmless spin into the grass. We'll go back and take a deeper look at that in just a moment, but right now up front, 15 coming to 16. They're either coming this time or next time.
Off turn 4, Baker's taking the left, and here comes the lead pack to pit road. These cars are so tough to get woed down. Does everybody get in without a mistake? Osmernaut's awfully hot on entry. Almost gets in the back of Jason Maines. I don't know how the 89 got on the brakes and kept it off the back of that car. But they are 3 wide, 3-4 rows deep here on pit road. Something's got to give for the lead pack as they enter their pit stalls, but looks like something did give, and everybody gets on pit road clean. Now who's going to get out first, and will they be able to catch the McCullough group?
Matthew Baker let him in, not going to lead him out. Osmernaut with a very fast stop. Garrett Maines even better. He will lead him out. So, Trevor coming in as hot as he did, Dawson, looks like it may have actually panned out pretty well. He'll get by Maines here as they shoot through the pits back onto the track, and now we keep an eye looking for that second pack that was being led by John Mullahan. And guess what? We thought the strategy maybe wasn't going to work out. It's going to work out just fine. They will stick with the leaders here. In fact, this is the best spot that I would say you can be in because they're going to get a big enough pull right here, Dawson, to where they should have a run, and they should be able to shoot right around the leaders.
It's going to be awfully close. That Trevor Osmernaut, Garrett Maines contingent is really far out here. They're going to have to go a long way to get enough help to get up to these front 4. Front 4 had a really nice pit stop, so we'll see what happens here. They're already getting around Logan York and company, and that's allowing this front 4 to drive away. And the other thing that's kind of allowing them to stay out front, they're getting a pull off Mark Vondell. Great stuff by the top 4. Well, excuse me. It's going to cycle around to be the top 4 here in a moment, led by Osmernaut. They're way out in front of the rest of the leaders here into the triangle. And Osmernaut, he's going to opt to push the McCullough cars. Garrett Maines steps out. I think Garrett thought he was going to go high right there. He doesn't. Osmernaut stays in line. Man, interesting decision there by the 89 to try to push those cars.
Yeah, I think maybe Trevor just hesitated a little bit there and then wanted to stay down, keep the car clean. No point in over-risking your situation right now. I think that was a good choice to just tuck in line and play it safe. But this is interesting that Mark and David now, I believe this is them going their second lap down. So I'm not sure if things are grouped. Actually, it may only be the first. We'll find out here in just a moment. But now Garrett with the lead, not for long. Baker's going to jump right back down to the bottom. And he's got a big run as David Sheets. Mark Vondell will pull up to the back bumper. Jason now, he gets out of shape up top. Garrett still with the lead, that third lane, only consisting of the 60 of Jeff Merck for the moment. He's got no run. Coming to 3 laps to go here in the stage.
There's going to be some company coming. Here comes the cavalry from Merck. It's Triscaro and JR Miller, the PGR teammates, and they're going to have a heck of a run when they get off turn 2. If they can get squared up here on the exit of the corner, they're going to have a nice run. Bottom side still Baker, but that line is very disorganized as they come out of the Alabama Gang super stretch. Mullahan, Chris McCullough, do they jump out in front of this third line? They're going to stay home for now. How long can they do that with 3 to go in the stage? If you want to go get it, you got to go do it now. John Mullahan at the bottom of the racetrack pulls left. He goes down, and so does Garrett Maines. He blocks it into 3. Door slammed on the 6. Now Jason Maines leads the middle, but Merck and Triscaro, they're hanging tough. They need 1 or 2 more cars. They're going to get it here in the form of JR Miller. Here comes the third lane.
Yeah, beating and banging all over the place right now, as now they're becoming 2 laps to go on the stage. And I'm sitting here thinking, not sure if there's any necessarily extra money on the line for the stage. The big thing, though, is there are points. And when I know it's a money race, but it's a money racing series. And at the end of the season, we're going to crown a regular season champ. And then, of course, 16 guys are going to make it to the playoffs with a chance to try to make it to the championship race. So anytime you can get points, you always want to get them, because we have seen over the course of the last couple seasons how close some of these championships have been decided by just a couple of points. And, you win the stage here, maybe get a couple of those extra points back and have a great shot at it. Still 3x3 into turn 3 as Garrett jumps back down to the bottom. An aggressive move for the 1. And that might be where his resting place is. No, he'll jump back up to the middle. Jeff Merck up top, the middle getting all out of shape. And now that allows the top to roll. Here comes Jeff Merck as we go to the white flag.
Merck's going to have a look at this stage for the second week in a row. He picked the right time and the right partners to go to the front, and he will nose out. Perhaps in front. He'll be even with the leader in 1. 2 wide for the lead for now. Maine's back to the bottom. Again allows the middle to regroup, but also allows the top a little bit of extra real estate when they come off of turn number 2. Does Triscaro have the temps to get him there? Who's got the temps in the middle or on the bottom? Jason Maines does. John Mullahan does. 3x3 down the backstretch for the stage win again. Jason Maines noses out front here, headed to 3. Can Merck get back to him?
I think Garrett and Jason are working together a little bit here, trying to keep these bottom 2 lanes at bay. And so as it comes down to out of turn 4, it's all a matter of, can Jeff Merck get the momentum to work? Now the middle starts to fade. Mullahan jumps up to the top. Garrett throws the block. He makes it stick. Does Mullahan jump to the 3rd lane? Baker still on the bottom. Does he have enough momentum to make a comeback? Mullahan will stay up top for now. Doesn't jump out of line. Garrett Maines takes stage 1 at Talladega.
That was masterful. The whole really last 3 or 4 laps in terms of switching lanes, managing temperatures, throwing the right blocks at the right time, managing the runs. Garrett Maines, that's masterful execution, and he gets the stage win. Really great stuff for the 1 car so far.
It certainly was. Well, as he'll bring it around here, everybody will let the cars cool down. They'll make a pit stop here where everybody should fill up on fuel, potentially tires, depending on how you run. And actually, I think if I'm anybody, I'm taking tires. And I think the biggest reason I say that now, Dawson, and I was thinking about this when these guys made the pit stop, is remember how close we saw a lot of these guys to speeding, getting loose, getting out of shape? In fact, we already did see it with a couple of them, and that was with only about 15 lap cycle tires on these cars. You figure now if we get, say, a green flag pit stop about another 15 laps after we go back green, you didn't take tires on this last stop. Boy, I certainly think you need to take them right here. If not, getting in pit road next time and even getting out, I think it's going to be a really big struggle.
Yeah, I agree. I think you probably come and take tires now. There's more benefit if you're, say, 10th on back, but even these guys up front, I understand you don't want to lose track position, but it's going to help you in the long run. I know from experience these long races, especially in this car, it's hard enough to get this car to pit road with clean tires, with fresh tires, let alone tires that have gone the entire race. I wouldn't risk that. With what's on the line tonight, money, points, a win in the playoffs, I don't know. I just wouldn't risk it. I would come get tires.
Well, we'll find out when we come back. Going to take a quick break. We'll go side by side. Garrett Maines, your stage 1 winner. We'll get a word with him as well if we can when we come back. Stick with us at Talladega. Front, now we're going to see a little 4-wide action.
Crazy out of the trial.
Oh, he gets in the lead on the record.
3x3 entering 4.
3-2. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway with Tuesday Night Thunder Race 2. And boy, what a great one it's been so far. Your Stage 1 winner, Garrett Maines, currently not hanging out in the Discord, so we're not going to be able to get a word with him. But nonetheless, I'm sure he's pretty excited right now. Got himself some extra points now. We were sitting here talking over the break, Dawson, and noticed that your top 3 did not take tires. Garrett Maines, Kenneth Stamper, and JR Miller. Very interesting call. I don't know if that's the strategy I would have went with. I got to, again, think that this next pit stop, if we make it to that green flag pit stop, is going to be extremely tricky on tires that old.
I mean, yeah, the pit stop is one thing, and we kind of covered that already in terms of getting on and off pit road, getting into your box, not sliding. It's going to make that tough. Even beyond pit stops, though. I mean, you start putting 40, 45 laps on these tires. I mean, it just gets tough to drive. Now, Kenny Stamper dives down this time by coming to one to go, perhaps. Maybe changed his mind. A couple other guys coming back to top off on fuel. So we'll see if Kenny does indeed take 4 tires right here. But even driving on the racetrack, even in the draft, you saw how bad they fishtail already. When you get 40, 45 laps on your tires, it just gets worse. It gets harder to handle. I just don't like the call. It looks like Kenny Stamper is going to get up on the jack. He will take tires this time around under caution. So making the only the top 2 now without tires under this one.
Yeah, so that definitely tells me that, majority of the field was thinking they needed tires as well. J.R. Miller, though, Garrett Maines with a little bit of a risky call. We'll get to see how well things pan out right here. Matthew Baker back in the 3rd spot. In fact, going through a running order here of your top 10, it will be Garrett Maines, J.R. Miller lining up row 1. Garrett got the stage win. J.R. with a little bit of a strategy play there on the pit cycle under caution. And then it's Matthew Baker, John Mullahan in row number 2. Michael Triscaro rounds out your top 5. Jason Maines in 6th. Jeff Merck back in 7th with David Drohan 8th, Logan York in 9th, and Jared Haynes rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, interesting strategy call. I mean, I don't know if I like it for Garrett. Garrett was already leading the race anyway. Probably wouldn't have dropped much track position considering who did not take tires on this caution. I like the call for JR Miller. Other than the tire thing, obviously the tire is going to be hard to drive on, but in terms of track position, I love the call. Get up front, be aggressive. That's what we've seen these PGR teammates do. He's got a teammate here at the front, and Michael Triscaro, a couple others running further back in the field. So I like the call for now for JR Miller, but obviously as the race goes on, the car's going to get harder and harder to drive.
And we are still short of being halfway through this race, so when we go green, which will be this lap as the lights on the pace car are off, it's going to be 36 laps to go here at Talladega. So not quite going to be able to make it on one stop. Again, expecting about 16 and 16. That gets these guys to about 32. Now, if you do a little bit of saving here, Dawson, let's say even just a lap 17-17, that gets you to 34. It's close, but I still don't think it's really doable. And especially if the leaders are pushing a pretty good pace here, I think we're going to be seeing 2 stops before this thing is all said and done. We're getting ready to find out as J.R. Miller and Garrett Maines get lined up, get ready to go back to green flag racing. Again, stage 1 complete. It was a 20-lap break. Stage 2, after the caution has been wrapped up, it's going to be a 36-lap sprint all the way to the finish. Couple pit stops expected. Green flag back in the air at Talladega.
Good start on the bottom for Garrett Maines. He gets about a car length advantage here headed to turn number 1. J.R. Miller has got some help. Didn't quite get as good a start as the bottom lane did, but they are connected. Up on the top side. John Mullahan may get clear, but Garrett Maines sees that. Goes up the racetrack, goes to grab J.R. Miller and get himself some help. But that allows John Mullahan to surge all the way to the race lead with the help of Michael Triscaro. How about the push on the bottom here down the back straightaway?
Yeah, Michael Triscaro like a bulldozer right there, pushing through the 6 of John Mullahan in a push great enough to get him out to the lead. But now the outside going to start to rebound a little bit here. Garrett Maines will draw back even with the 6. Going into turn number 3, J.R. Miller with a strong push. Him and Matthew Baker have gotten tandemed up, and now it's a battle of which lane can carry a little bit more momentum. Inside gets another bit of a pull right here, but now some separation between Triscaro and Merck. Side by side through the tribal, they come to complete lap 26. And with that move that Garrett made that last lap, Dawson, I think that's really the move that I've been thinking since the beginning of the race would get more and more interesting the older the tires have gotten. So it looks like at this point, Garrett's rolling pretty good, and I think you'd kind of have to expect it. If you were on older tires, the outside would be your better choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sudden movements on the wheels, what's going to do that? 3 wide. Matthew Baker, Logan York, they jump out of line. Now they're probably going to need one more car to go up there. Jason Maines doesn't bite. He stays middle. Drohan's going to go up there with him, though, the 42. The third car on the way here for Matthew Baker. Strong push from Logan York. 3x3 here in 3 and 4. 5 car with a 0-2. They're going to get even with Garrett Maines off 4. They do still need help, and Drohan dives back in line. I think Davenport may come to aid him, but it's going to be a minute before he gets there. Now Drohan goes. That was a big moment there between Drohan and Davenport. Davenport cuts him a break and allows Merck to get to the middle. And again, off into turn number 1, 3x3, 4 rows deep.
Yeah, I think David was trying to make sure that he had enough of a run that he could contribute. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Now he gets another big moment into turn 1 as it looked like the car stepped out a little bit. Got down the track. He's able to save it, but that is going to lose the third car on the third lane. And now that means that Matthew Baker, Logan York are going to have to fade back either behind Jeff Merck or try to get this thing recycled and get back to the front. You saw Garrett drop low, and now J.R. Miller, oh my goodness, talk about slamming the door. Just barely clear of Garrett Maines. He swoops down, and now he has a chance to lead his first lap here at Talladega.
Yeah, I don't know if Garrett's going to let him do it, though. I think the second that Jason Maines starts coming back to the outside, Garrett's going to hop out of line. I don't think he's going to be content running second, but is for now. Going to push on the back of JR. Here comes Jason back to the outside, but look, the outside starting to fall apart. Now they get back to Garrett. Does Garrett jump out of line? No, he's going to hang in and allow J.R. Miller to continue to lead the race. Now the run gets there, and up goes Garrett Maines. He wants to lead here off turn number 2, and they're going to have a massive run down the Alabama Gang Super Stretch.
Yeah, you saw Jason actually got to him in the corner right there and was able to push. We've heard a lot of drivers, especially a lot of the experienced drivers, talk about it's a lot harder to push through the corners here at Talladega, but good to see those two doing it without issue. Now Matthew Baker, Logan York going to jump back up to the top as Garrett jumps to the bottom. This will temporarily hurt the momentum of that middle lane, but now Garrett in control. Watch for him to jump right back up here if that outside starts to roll. Nothing just yet. They're going to stay 3x3 for the first 2 rows. Michael Triscaro third on that inside line, making fourth rather. Tony Cox, he's now moving through the field pretty well. Notice he is up to 5th on the inside and trying to see if he can maybe score some money here tonight. He's up 4 positions from where he started in 11th.
4 cars now up top. Davenport Drohan going to go up there for another round with this top line, and this time it starts to surge in a big way. Halfway down the backstretch, here comes Matthew Baker. J.R. Miller on the bottom. He's got Mullahan with him, but the surge is up top. 5 car to the lead here in turn 3. 3 cars lined up tight. Now Drohan joins them up in the outside line. I'll tell you who the smart ones are in this scenario. It's the 3 KSR cars and the McCullough cars at the tail end of this field. I would not want any part of what's going on up front with still 32 laps to go. I like where those other groups are running right now, but right as that third lane starts to get going, it fizzles. But for how long? Now Merck to the outside. Baker goes with him. Logan New York's got a decision to make here at the start-finish line.
Man, if Logan could have stuck with Baker there into turn 3, I think they get clear, but just maybe either ran out of temps or got disconnected, and definitely takes a minute sometimes to get reconnected with the guy that you're trying to push. But now you see Jeff Merck, Matthew Baker working together on the top, really rolling. They might have a shot here just with 2 cars. They can get a third. That'll make it a lot easier. But look at the run for Jeff Merck down the back straightaway. Continues to hold even with Garrett Maines almost able to get cleared. Not quite going to do it. So he'll stick up top for now. J.R. Miller has been leading the bottom here for quite some time. Garrett's still in the middle. And the longer that they stay 3x3, Dawson, the hotter the temps get for each lane, the more likely one is to give. And it looks like it is going to be that third lane. Matthew Baker bails. He jumps down in line. We'll see if he's able to let Jeff Merck in as well.
He's trying, still trying, but not going to have any success. Now Merck's going to have to bail further back. Now see if he can get him behind Baker. Nope, can't do that either. This is a free fall through the field for Jeff Merck. Currently runs 13th, still fading all the way back down around back around, I believe David Drohan is where Merck's going to slot back in line. Now the top 2 lines, or excuse me, bottom 2 lines now that are still up here. The biggest beneficiaries out of that, I mean, Matthew Baker's one of them, but I think the biggest beneficiary is Logan York. All of a sudden, he went from about 14th to 5th here into 3, and the 0-2 very much in the picture as we hit halfway. Maines back across the bottom. Can't say enough of the work J.R. Miller's doing, though. He's been able to hang up here even on those older tires.
And Logan getting back to the front is a product of pure aggression, and he's one of the most aggressive guys in the field, so that's certainly been working well for him so far, as has Matthew Baker. Don't forget, Matthew Baker saying in his interview last week, still focused and would like to, of course, get another win, but catches himself behind the 60 of Jeff Merck in the last couple laps. He has no problem trying to push the 60 to a win, as he did for him last week. Up front right now, though, it is still the two Mains boys dominating the race. Father and son Jason just behind Garrett right now. And as Garrett jumps back up, he'll get another big surge of momentum. But, ooh, Baker really out of shape. Now they're going to fan out 3-4 wide, as I think there was a bit of a check up there on the outside. Baker's able to save it. Davenport and Jeff Merck have to shuffle out, though. And it looks like Davenport, as he turns back down, oh my goodness, another big moment there between him and David Drohan. But they all save it. This will break up the packs for a moment as Logan jumps all the way to the bottom. That leaves Baker stranded in the middle. Now here comes Mike Davenport. What in the world happened there?
I have no idea. That was a really weird moment, but now it's split up the pack so much that everybody's dropping to the bottom. I mean, we know a pit stop is coming. I mean, at least pretty short order here, and they came to the stage at lap 20. They pit on lap 21, 22, so they could probably go to about 36 if they really wanted to, but the pay window to be able to make it on one stop from here would open this lap or so. So I expect to see maybe some guys try this, try to split this stage into a couple of segments and be able to short pit the field, try to break up the strategy. We'll see. And man, the big loser out of this one, Garrett and Jason Mains. They are stuck now up on the top. And again, like Jeff Merck earlier, very lonely feeling when the help is nowhere to be found. But the push starts to come back to the outside. Maybe not too early to say that's all she wrote for the top line.
Yeah, Danny Barnes sticking strong up top with Garrett and Jason. Matthew Baker, Davenport up there trying to get a pull. It takes a little bit of time, but one thing I've noticed tonight, which again, I wonder if it's a product of that hot track tip, has been the runs. I mean, they've been pretty big, almost bigger than some of the runs we've seen in a lot of the truck money races. Guys have been able to get a really good pull. They've been able to get up to the car in front of them pretty quickly, and that's created a lot of momentum swings, a lot of chances for one lane to get clear of the other. And just as we say that, looks like Garrett Mains is going to be able to get back clear here potentially of J.R. Miller going into turn 3. Mullahan pushing back, though. Can he hold it? Looks like he is. Garrett tried to jump down, came up just about a quarter panel short, and now J.R. Miller will surge back to the lead through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and really without much significant pushing here from John Mullahan. I mean, he's been pushing a little, but not really a ton, at least not as much as that outside. Now the outside's got a big run, but all of a sudden Mullahan kicks it back in gear and keeps J.R. Miller even. Great work by this front two on the bottom, really front three. Triscaro's doing a great job as well, and they've kept Jason and Garrett Mains kind of just marooned up there on the top side in front of the 7 of Haynes, the 5 of Baker, the 55 of Davenport. It's been pretty much gridlock here at the front. That's all thanks to the 6 of John Mullahan.
Gridlock at the front, but kind of single filed out further back. And as we go even further back, Logan York in 20th, maybe part of that checkup kind of ordeal that happened a couple laps ago. He is 4 seconds behind the lead pack, so he's not going to be able to stick with the tail end either, as David Sheese is 2 seconds in front of him, who is at the end of course, this lead pack. So Logan going to need a caution, him and Jimmy Emos both. Jimmy right now kind of acting as a little bit of a bridge, but he is also out of draft range, so it looks like Emos is going to bring it down to the pits here. We'll see if Logan York decides to do the same. Jimmy's going to be able to get it down to pace speed while he locks up, but so ultimately gets the job done. And then Jason Kelly sitting at the back of the pack, but right now, Jason Kelly, by the way, I meant to say was getting ready to go a lap down. It's Mark Vondell who's sitting at the back of the pack, and then Stephen Harper, Brock Westland have retired from the race. Brock didn't make the start, and then Stephen, after that issue early, was not able to continue. 2 by 2 now with 25 laps to go. As you said, Dawson, if you want to short pit it, the window's open, unless you want to save that short pit strategy for the next round of cycles and maybe try to run this one out, whatever the case may be. I think right now, if I can get enough guys to go with me, I'd like to break away from the pack, but things still looking pretty orderly as they've gotten back down to 2 by 2. And with that outside line having well over a handful of cars, still no signs of that first pit stop just yet.
And it makes that prospect of this next pit stop a lot more intimidating. You're going to have a lot more cars trying to come to pit road than if you broke off from the field. So, again, I'm like you. I think I'd rather take the easier route to get on and off pit road. We saw it work for John Mullahan and company on the last green flag pit stop. So, you know it's successful if you get on and off pit road well. If you get hooked up with your dance partners, it works. I would go ahead and come to pit road, but these guys seem to be content to race, seem to be content to just run 2 by 2, and then when the time comes to come to pit road, they're going to risk it and just trying to get on and off pit road without issue. But again, the more cars there are, the more chance for a mistake, the more chance for wrecks to happen, the more chance for something to go wrong.
Yeah, it might be for the best that the 2 cars that are on the oldest tires are leading them in. That way, of course, if they overshoot, they won't run into anybody. But I'm going to be very interested to see how well Garrett Maines and JR Miller are able to get down to speed by the time we hit that pit entry line. JR now gives another shove to Garrett. That'll get him back out in front, as there you see Logan York making his way off of the pits after having to go in by himself. So now 23 laps to go here, and Jason Maines still leading the outside. They're going to split 3 wide as they fan through the 98 of Jimmy Emos, and that's the 42 of David Drohan. Mike Davenport starting to get a pull, and looks like the 23 machine who got lapped was able to stick with the pack. That was Jason Kelly. So while he goes a lap down for the moment, he is in that lucky dog position if we were to get a caution. He's got to be careful, though, because Mark Vondell's with the leaders, too. And if the 59 gets up there, you know he's going to be racing him for it. Here we go. Pit stop's underway. Mark Vondell in the back is going to pit with just about everybody else up front, including JR Miller, who gets all 4 tires sliding across the racetrack, but somehow gets down to pit speed. He did a pretty good job at that with how old of the tires he had.
The McCullough Group and JR Miller on pit road, and yeah, with old tires, impressive to get down to speed that quickly for JR Miller, and he will jump into his pit box. So this group, again, it's the same group we saw do it last time. We'll see if it works out for him again this go around. We saw them cycle back to the lead. We'll see if they can do so again. Will these guys up front respond? That's now the question that we're going to be answering here off turn number 4. Will it force their hand? We saw what happened when they went a few extra laps. It brought that McCullough Group back to them. Let's see if they go ahead and pit instantly, respond to that group, and they will. Rest of the field, off turn number 4, left-hand turn, and down to pit road they come, and Garrett's on old tires. Can he get it to pit road okay? Yes, he seems to be able to. And everybody on again with no issue. Really great execution on green flag pit stops by almost everybody tonight.
Yeah, Garrett proving us both wrong up here in the booth. Seems like the no-tire strategy worked out just fine, and JR was able to take 2 without losing time, so I'd expect more of the same here from Garrett, probably left sides if he's got the option, of course. But with everybody getting in clean right there, 22 laps to go. That final fuel window, Dawson, I'm sitting here watching Michael Trasquero, but that final fuel window opens, and it looks like right about 6 laps, make it 7. 6 actually as they cross the stripe this time, so we'll see if they short pit that second one, or if this was considered their short pit and they run this last one out all the way till the tank is dry and go in. But that group that pit early looks like they're going to be able to do pretty good here. Looks like at least 5 out of the 7 that went in are going to be able to stick with the leaders here.
I mean, incredible execution by Miller, Mullahan, and Chris McCullough. I mean, this is outstanding stuff. They're going to be with the leaders. They might bypass the leaders. This may be a better pit stop than their first one. I mean, really great stuff, especially considering the tires JR Miller's on right now. For those 3 guys, they're going to bypass the leaders. JR Miller will go back to the lead in turn 3. Really great stuff by those 3, and they're bringing their 2 teammates along with them.
Well, about a 10-mile-an-hour difference there. And it looks like JR maybe jumped down just a little bit too soon as Christopher McCullough, John Mullahan going to stick to the outside, try to get both of them clear. And actually, John Mullahan says, let's see if we can't take control of the lanes right here. How about this for a flipped in script? McCullough Motorsports, who was taking it easy early, has completely changed the tides, and now they are leading with 4 of the top 5 spots currently locked up. David Sheets in 3rd, John Mullahan in 4th. They've got row 2 locked down, and up front, the 2 McCulloughs, Christopher McCullough and Ken McCullough Jr. now leading the way here at Talladega.
Yeah, but for how long? Maines, Baker were able to get up there. Maines splits the middle. Garrett goes right through the hole in the middle. Now drops to the bottom. My goodness, what a move by Garrett Maines. And Kenny McCullough, he sees it and says, I'm out. I'm going to the back. I did not like what I saw. I don't like the aggression. He bails out. My goodness, what a piece of driving from the NASCAR Coca-Cola Series driver, Garrett Maines at the front. He just got done running Richmond, and now look at what he's pulling here at Talladega.
Yeah, well, that looks like the kind of sequence of passes we would see at Richmond, much more than what we would see at Talladega. He just got by about 3 or 4 different cars in the matter of a corner. Nicely done there by Garrett Maines. As now Matthew Baker pulls even. He will lead the outside line. I reckon Jason Maines goes around. Back up to the outside wall he goes. No caution yet. Slides down out of harm's way. We keep it green. And oh, that's an unfortunate break for Jason Maines, but maybe a good break for the rest of the leaders. Is if that would have been a caution, Dawson, that would have changed everything. Vondell, York going to split him here without issue. Jason pretty banged up. We'll see if he has to go in to repair this car.
Well, it breaks up the field. I mean, this may make this basically a 4-car race here at the front of the field. Garrett Maines, Chris McCullough, Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck are the only cars that are going to have the lead draft. Mullahan doesn't have the draft, and neither does Trasquero. I mean, this may have just completely altered the end of this race, all because a caution flag does not come out on that sequence. That group running from about, let's see, 5th through now 9th is going to have to get it together quickly if they want any hope of running down the leaders.
Yeah, and we're going back right now and watching a replay of what just happened. And it's John Mullihan who actually comes up a little bit as they get down into the corner. Jeff Merck comes down a bit as well. They both collide in the middle, and that gets the right rear of the 6 on the left front of the 60. That sends him up into Jason Maines. Jason spins. The 6 taps him in the left front, which actually straightens him out. And then as Jason climbs the banking again, trying to save it before he shoots back down the racetrack, gets out of harm's way. It's a phenomenal save. Unfortunately, though, at the end of the day, it, of course, cost him the pack and then a couple others. So just tight racing there again. These guys have got a lot of room. They're side drafting, though, trying to get whatever they can to keep each other honest, keep each other close, and make progress for their respective lane. And in that case, just hard racing and a tough break, again, for Jason Maines and John Mullihan, it looks like, who are the main 2 that got affected with that one.
Well, don't look now, but that second group is really cutting time away. That 5 through 9 group, led by Mullihan. Michael Trescaro is up on his horse trying to push this group forward, and I do believe they got the tail end of the draft. That is a Herculean effort from Michael Trescaro to keep that group in it. They got grouped up and got in line, and they are coming with a huge head of steam as this group comes into 3. They've got the leader's draft, a 9-car race now as we come off turn number 4.
Within a second and a half, and as you just pointed out, they have got the leader's draft, and they are going to get there. It doesn't matter what they do now up front. 4 cars not going to be enough to hold off the charge of the cars 5 through 9th. But even at that, I mean, Dawson, it's a top 5 payout here tonight. So anybody that's up front right now in one of these 2 groups, they've got a shot. Now, don't count out this 3rd group just yet. Currently made up of Kenneth Stamper, who's going to take a run to the outside with his teammate there, Thomas Parker, along with Tony Cox and Trevor Ozernoff. Tucker McClendon going to try to slot in line as well, and then Danny Barnes looks to be with this group as well. And if they're able to continue to make pretty decent time, they could catch to the back bumper here of David Sheets, who's now caught onto that lead pack as well. Right now it's 5.7 seconds, 16 laps, still a pit stop to go. We'll see if they can get there before this race is all said and done.
Baker Merck up on the outside here. They saw the opportunity to go up for the lead. They're going to take it, and Trescaro's going to go with them. So 3 cars up top with 16 laps to go. We expect the pay window for the final pit stop to open next time by with 15 to go. I don't know if anybody up here will take advantage. Now that 3rd group, well, what is now the 2nd group, might take advantage and try to come to pit road and short pit the last stop of the race. Try to make something happen on strategy. For now, though, how about Chris McCullough? He's going to go to the leadoff, too, as Garrett Maines goes to pick up Matthew Baker and Jeff Merck. 3 rows too wide, and this group's not really losing much time, so I don't blame him for going and racing a little bit, but there is still that last pit stop to think about here shortly.
And we're looking off the right rear on out of gearbox of Garrett Maines, and notice the front of Matthew Baker's Chevy Camaro. He's got a little bit of a crumple in the hood there. Now, Talladega and Daytona, 2 tracks that are super dependent on aero, and you want as much speed as you can. Any damage is, of course, going to hinder that, but it's not going to affect him at all in the draft. And honestly, I don't think it'll affect him too much out in front, but not sure, again, exactly how he accumulated that damage. You got to wonder if it was from that near incident earlier that we saw Baker involved in with the stack-up, and that's something that he could potentially get hammered out if we either get a caution or if it's only a couple seconds, maybe on a green flag stop, but definitely doesn't seem to be affecting him right now as he continues to hold strong in the 9-car race for the lead. And as these guys do continue to duke it out, 14 laps to go. And so before we forget, let's hop over here and see what payouts officially should be looking like here tonight. Again, this was based off of 25 drivers. We had 24 tonight, so it should be pretty accurate. 145 to first, 85 to second, 80 to third, 70 to fourth, and 70 to fifth. And then, of course, $125 from the pot here tonight, going to be going towards that championship pot, which is going to be massive payouts at the end of the season. So, Dawson, this is one of those series that I know we've mentioned it a little bit pre-race. You really got to kind of stay committed throughout the whole season if you really want to make some profit on what your, on your payment initially, because if you just come run one race, you don't get any money. Well, you're out $25, but if you come and you race all the races, you make it to that round of 16, you got a good chance at going for the championship, and I believe just making it through each round and then to the championship, you start making a lot of money back.
Yeah, you do. It ultimately builds up. That's what is so good about the season format. It's why so many of these guys that you see in the playoffs like this format, is because of the opportunities to win extra, because of the opportunity to make a deep playoff run and then suddenly start to make some more profit. It actually builds up a lot over the course of that playoff system, makes those playoffs more valuable, makes winning a race more valuable, makes stage points more valuable. It gives you something a little more to race for, a little bit more motivation, and that's why you see some of these guys racing as hard as they are. They want to get those extra payouts at the end of the season. They want to make a deep playoff run. It's why you see every week counts, every stage counts.
And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you watching here. Tuesday Night Thunder, race 2 of season 4 on PGR eSports. Second race for the Tuesday Night Thunder series. It's being broadcasted here on PGR eSports. And again, we'll be back, of course, next Tuesday, but then here on PGR eSports terms, we'll be back on Thursday as well for some PGR racing, and then on Friday for Super Speedway Kings. That was a ton of fun last week. Make sure you come check that one out. But as for tonight, we got a winner to crown, and pit stops are underway. This will be the final stop of the night. Got to get in clean here. Looks like it's all the McCullough Motorsports drivers.
Oh, Chris McCullough's going to throw 2 tires in the grass. Might be okay. I think he can get away with that. We'll have to see if he was speeding on pit road. He was awfully hot coming off turn number 4. For now, appears to be good, and we'll wait and see how long the 94 spins on pit road. Now, again, the question will be, does this group continue to run a few more laps? This group of 4 now at the front, do they decide to come to pit road this time by? Go ahead and get their service done. We'll see here on turn number 4, Garrett Maines, Jeff Merck, Matthew Baker, Michael Triscaro, the only 4 of this lead draft that are yet to pit as the McCullough group comes off of pit road.
Yeah, well, since they're coming with only 10 laps to go, I would certainly think you'd have to pit this lap, and as you said, only 4 cars. I just don't see any reason they stay out. But they're going to prove me wrong. They are going to stay out. I think they feel like maybe those 4 are strong enough to run faster laps than the group that already pit. So maybe they will run this thing out. We'll have to find out. But as they do cross the stripe to officially take 10 laps to go, we turn our attention to that group that already pit, comprised of J.R. Miller. Ooh, Jason. Oh, I thought we got some data that somebody else may have had an issue, but back to the point at hand. J.R. Miller, Christopher McCullough, John Mullahan, Ken McCullough Jr., David Sheets, all with that lead pack, but now they're trying to get grouped up. They got to hurry up here as now we see another round of pit stops. This is from what was that 3rd pack, and it looks like it's all the KSR drivers, along with a couple of others as well.
Yeah, they're on pit road this time by. They had to come to pit road again for their last stop of the night. I expect to see the leaders this time by. It's about as far as I would expect them to go, but nobody comes to pit road. Again, they stay on the racetrack. This group of 4, awfully confident that they can continue to run good lap times and that they can have a good stop on and off pit road. And it's holding true so far. They're putting some more time on that group led by J.R. Miller, but now the lap times start to turn in the favor of the group led by the 78. So if I'm this lead group, I think I come to pit road this time by. You started to see the times fall off a little bit. I think you got to go ahead, bite the bullet, and come to pit road.
And we were showing Jeff Merck there on camera for just a moment. Give a shout out, of course, to the final driver that we have carrying it on board for us here tonight, and that is Tony Cox, the driver out of Alexandria, Indiana. Right now sitting in that 5th spot, a 10 from where he started, but I believe still, of course, has to make a pit stop. Not with the lead pack right now. So Tony's still probably open for a caution, but still potentially some time for that caution to occur. But with the spread out as things are, certainly not looking too likely. As we saw a couple guys throwing up smoke potentially on the exit of the pits. Doesn't look like there's any major issues. As I'll tell you what, Dawson, that round of pit stops, besides that first group that we saw come in, everybody else, it just spread them out even more. But speaking of that first group that we did see coming to pit, J.R. Miller, looks like they have all gotten officially linked up now. 2 of the McCullough Motorsports cars there as well. And then looks like maybe going to get help from one of the lappers as well. I believe that was Jason Kelly. But this first group continues to stay out. And man, oh man, this is going to be really interesting to see how it all blends together. You know, if they go in too late, Dawson, and that next group maybe was just a little bit better, they overshoot these guys once they come back out, then that could be the end of the races. I'm not sure if they'd have enough time to make a run back and get back around.
I mean, they're losing time. They lost a couple more tenths that time by. I don't know what they're hedging their bet on here. I'm not sure what they see in staying out, continuing to run laps that's going to help them in the long run. I guess taking less fuel potentially on this last pit stop, but I mean, it's not going to be that much of a difference, especially if you continue to lose time. And they've lost 2 to 3 tenths over the last several laps. So We'll have to see. Now, they have put a little bit more time between themselves in that group than we saw between the leaders and the and the McCullough-Mullahan, Kenny McCullough contingent last time. But, man, I don't see what they're doing other than getting a couple more extra laps potentially under their belts to take a little bit less fuel. And I don't know if that's going to be the impact that they think it's going to be. And with 7 laps to go, I mean, you're getting awfully close to the window. Here they come. Final pit stop for the leaders.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time, and Garrett Maines will lead them down. Jeff Merck, Michael Triscaro, and Matthew Baker, who's really sending it up the inside, but he's able to get it down to pit road speed, and he will stay to the inside. Jeff Merck on the outside. Garrett clearance, he'll be able to drop down to his box, which is, of course, the first box in the pits, and it's a little bit of a tricky one, especially when you're getting out. You're still trying to get up to speed before you hit the exits where you can really gas it up, so he'll have to be careful. But Jeff Merck, Michael Triscaro, they slide in with no problem, as does Matthew Baker. And now the real race is getting ready to be on here, Dawson, as they make their way out of the pits. Where is J.R. Miller coming out of turn 4? Just now coming to the tribal. Watch the track map. You see the leaders, the first just crossing the line on that track map, the white dot circled in green. And then you see J.R. Miller here circled in green as well. He is catching your leaders here. They're going to have a run, and I think this is going to be almost the exact scenario that I was talking about, Dawson, where that second group is going to have a massive run here. And how is Garrett Maines going to defend it here?
I don't know if you can defend it. They're coming awfully quick. You're going to have to just blend and make them go around you, which is exactly what these guys do. They blend. Now Tony Cox goes to grab Michael Triscaro here on the bottom. That's going to be massive for the 34. He needed that. Coming off pit road, Maines, Merck, Baker are back together. Now they will have the draft. They're not going to be out of the draft, so good job by them. And yeah, so they will keep the draft. And the McCullough tandem, they worked with JR for as long as they could. They go to the outside, and now Maines, Merck, and company going to have to regroup here and try to figure out their strategy. 5 laps to go. It's all McCullough Motorsports at the line.
A case there of work with them while you need them and ditch him when you don't anymore. I feel bad for J.R. Miller right there. He's been doing a great job here tonight. He's been holding strong, but that's certainly going to hurt his efforts, as now one of the lappers is getting stuck in this mix. It's not going to help JR either. That's the 42 of David Drohan. Mark Vondell up top. As you see Garrett Maines and Jeff Merck lined up. Now John Mullahan's going to jump to the outside. Watch for Garrett to split. You think McCullough Motorsports maybe learned something last time after Garrett split him in the middle? We'll find out. JR back to the top. Mullahan's got to be careful here, Dawson. If he leaves any sort of hole, I'm telling you, Garrett's going to take it.
Yeah, the interesting car to watch here is going to be J.R. Miller. He cuts the nose off Matthew Baker, who then goes to the inside. No help for J.R. Miller. That's such a tough break. He's run such a good race and can't find a dance partner. No one wants to go in behind the 78, and that's because Baker wants to lead the top. Matthew Baker, Michael Triscaro to the top side. Does Maines go with him? Doesn't have to. Mullahan to the bottom. Now here comes Baker, but here's the problem. Both those lines only have 2 cars. J.R. Miller got shuffled out. Because he got shuffled out, not enough help on either of those top 2 lines. They need at least one more car up there, and they don't have the help yet. Kelly comes to the rescue, and he'll bring J.R. Miller with him. For now, though, they're going to continue to stall those top 2 lines out until they get more help in a 3.
I think that McCullough Motorsports having 3 on the bottom right now is really their biggest advantage. Even if they decide not to jump up. Oh, just as I say it, he turns his teammate Christopher McCullough, trying to save it. Does he hold on? He does. As does John Mullahan, so we will stay green. As Mullahan is still trying to save it. Yes, he finally does. Well, I thought they were in the best position. Boy, I guess I was wrong. And not only does that affect them, but that sends Ken McCullough Jr. to the back of this draft. And what looked like McCullough Motorsports being in great control here, all of a sudden ends in catastrophe, and now puts Garrett Maines, who has dominated this race, right back to the point. Jeff Merck, Matthew Baker, though, this thing's not over. Remember what I said earlier. Baker said he'd be willing to push that 60 to a win, and I have a feeling those 2 aren't just going to sit pretty here behind Garrett the rest of the way.
Oh, but look out. Here comes the bottom line. It's Triscaro. He pushes a lapper of Jason Kelly, and all of a sudden he's got a teammate in the rearview mirror. Triscaro and J.R. Miller, the PGR tandem. On the bottom line, they've got Kenny McCullough in trouble. Jason Kelly's going to go for a slide. Can Triscaro save the race car? Another near moment for the leaders off 4.
Well, that's the second time now we've had one of the leaders almost turn the other one of the leaders, and I think that's a product of these tires. They're worn out. You can't be pushing in the corners anymore. A lot of guys learning that hard lesson here. But they're going to all be able to save it again in terms of everybody that's on the lead lap. Triscaro was able to hang on, but now he's in the position Ken McCullough Jr. was just about a lap to go. Garrett Maines is going to fade to the back of the pack. All of a sudden, single file and only 6 of them in contention. 1.5 laps to go here at Talladega. If we can make it to the white flag, this race will be official.
The guy to watch here is absolutely going to be J.R. Miller. I mean, he's in the best spot. Maines goes to the top, and I would not be surprised to see J.R. Miller go when Garrett gets there. Triscaro goes with Maines. Does J.R. take a look? This is his opportunity to go get the lead and potentially get a victory here in Tuesday Night Thunder. Maines to go with him. There goes J.R. Miller, the 78 for PGR, and all of a sudden, as we get to the start-finish line, it's going to be 3v3, Merck v. Miller v. the rest of the field. White flag from Talladega.
And I think Matthew Baker is more than content to sit behind his teammate Jeff Merck right here the rest of the way, but the top rolling way too strong. J.R. Miller gets clear into turn one. He'll drop down, but it's not over yet. Merck's got another run. Garrett trying to hang the side draft on the 60 up top. They're going to bottleneck up a little bit down the backstretch. Garrett just with help from Triscaro. Will it be enough, and does Ken McCullough Jr. jump out into three?
I don't think he does. I think it's going to be all depending on how much Triscaro can push Garrett Maines. But with two cars, I don't think it's going to be enough of a run. Merck's going to get clear. He looks to the outside. Here comes Jeff Merck. And on to four. They're going to wreck behind J.R. Miller, perhaps, all the way to the checkers.
And Garrett got into Merck right there. They're trying to save it, fanning out, full wide behind. Ken McCullough Jr. with another push to J.R. Miller. It will be enough. J.R. Miller wins it at Talladega. What a win for J.R. Miller. And it looked like another case of just too aggressive of a push there from one of your leaders, putting another leader in a bad spot. We saw it quite a bit over the course of those last handful of laps or so, Dawson. And I think that's ultimately what kind of got Matthew Baker out of shape right there. Jeff Merck, of course, looking like he was in a great spot up to that point. Let's watch, though, and see if that's getting Jeff Merck out of shape. So here we go on the outside line. In fact, I'm going to back this up and take a bit of a different view of it. Watch this from the zoomed-in camera. See that Garrett Maines, is he getting pushed here by Michael Triscaro? He's not at the moment. 34 isn't to his bumper yet. Garrett's going to try to give Jeff Merck a push. And again, I just think the tires are just too worn out at this point in the race. And that sends Jeff Merck down into Matthew Baker. Baker's going to go for a spin here. Did he hold on? Looks like he did. Good save there by Matthew Baker, but now that fans him out four wide as Michael Triscaro into the tribal, trying to see if he can hold on as Garrett gives him a little door check, maybe up the track there, just try to work him up a little bit there to hold some momentum. And then all the way coming to the line here, J.R. Miller was home clear when Ken McCullough Jr. decided low. And so, he may not have got a dancing partner the whole last half of the race, but he got one when it mattered most, and it led to him getting the win. That was a great win for J.R. Miller.
A 1-2 finish for Team PGR, and I'm telling you, that's what they've been working for. We've seen these guys on Monday nights, on Tuesday nights, on Thursday nights. Any night we see them, we saw them just consistently chipping away, getting better, running up front, getting closer and closer and closer. And the crowning moment tonight for PGR, who steals away a 1-2 finish from the rest of the field in RMR. Extremely strong showing for that group.
Certainly was. All right, well, let's take a look at your finishing results here tonight before we go get your top three in here for interviews. And so officially getting the win here tonight, it is J.R. Miller for PGR eSports, and then his teammate, team owner in this case, Michael Triscaro brings home that second spot. The last podium spot tonight will go to Garrett Maines. Ken McCullough Jr. finishes in fourth. Jeff Merck rounds out the money in fifth. Matthew Baker comes up just short after getting involved in that contact off of four. He finishes sixth. Christopher McCullough in seventh with Trevor Oswanoff eighth. Thomas Parker in ninth, and Kenneth Stamper rounding out your top 10.
John Mullahan finishes 11th, David Sheets in 12th, Jared Haynes 13th, Jason Maines 14th, and Tony Cox, the last car in the lead lap, in 15th. Jason Kelly finishes 16th with David Drohan 17th, Tucker McClendon 18th, Mike Davenport 19th, and Logan York in 20th. Jimmy Emos finishes 21st, Mark Mondell 22nd, Stephen Harper 23rd, and Brock Westmoreland fails to make the grid tonight, will be credited with 24th.
All right, we're going to go see if we can find your top three in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Going to start first tonight with your second place finisher. As we wait to see if we can get Garrett Maines in the booth. So without any further ado, let's start tonight with PGR owner and the man who finishes second tonight, Michael Triscaro. Dawson Wise stands by with him.
Yeah, hey Mike, it's the boys in the booth. You get a copy?
I do, man. How's it going?
Well, it's a great night for us to watch. It's a great night for you guys on the racetrack. I mean, what a sequence of events at last 2 laps. We saw you get out of shape with 2 laps to go. You recover to finish second tonight. Take us through it. What went through your head that last sequence?
Oh my God, man. I'm catching my breath. It was slick. The track temperature was really hot. That's what I call a race right there, man. These Xfinity cars in this series, there's nothing better. It puts it all in the driver's hands, especially with the 40% fuel. And man, I was just sliding all around in the turns. I had a lap car in front of me. Kind of had to move him out of my way. I was pushing Garrett there and JR. JR cleared low. It's awesome. I'm not running with my teammates necessarily in RMR, but my teammate got the victory in PGR. JR Miller, man, he is so deserving of that. He went out there and raced probably the best race I've ever seen him race.
Well, absolutely, and that was going to be my next question. It's a 1-2 finish technically for you guys tonight over at PGR.
Yes.
So while you guys are 1-2, I talked about earlier the work you guys have been putting in, chipping away. You and those guys, JR, Brock, Nash, Mike Davenport, have been putting in to get to this point. It finally comes tonight. It feels like a crowning moment for you guys. Take us through what this means for you guys as a team and the work you guys have put in.
It means everything. Also, Tyler Vickery, too. He came on board. These guys are racing Monday nights in that Dega Pro's Little Guy Series. And, that race warrants a lot of green flag stops. And I think that's where this team has gotten so much better at and excelled. And it's helped them now in these races like RMR and PGR where we're making green flag stops. And, man, it's a testament to the work and the communication. And not only all that, but the friendships that we've built for over a year now. I mean, like I said, I think last week in an interview, some of these guys are OGs like JR Miller. He's won a PGR race. I remember last year we finished 1, 2, or 3 in our RMR, and here we are again. And there was a big lull there in the middle, but these guys, along with myself, man, we've come a long way, and we belong. And yeah, hopefully one of us could get the championship this year.
Well, JR locks in tonight with his victory. You finished second, and still a great night for you. A great payout for you tonight here with a second place finish and a good points tonight. So before we let you go and celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, always my teammates at PGR. Also my teammates Matt Baker, Jeff Merck, Navy guys. Thank you for your service always. We much appreciate it. You guys up in the booth doing PGR eSports now, broadcasting these races. It's a really cool thing for me, man. And to the Money or the Money Stop podcast, we're gonna go live Easter, way late on Easter for the next episode. So tune in there, guys. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon, hopefully.
Well, hopefully we talk to you soon as well. Thanks for taking a second to talk to us. Congratulations on a second place finish tonight. Go enjoy it and go celebrate.
Yep, thank you.
All right, and now that's going to bring us to your race winner here on the night. JR Miller gets his first win of Season 4. JR, this is Austin the Booth. You got a copy.
Hey, Austin. What's up, man?
Well, man, I think Michael put it best. We just had a chance to hear from him. He said this might have been the best race he's ever seen you run. The biggest question I got, and the way I want to start things is, you got just about no help, it seemed like, the second half of that race. How did you manage to stay up there with the leaders with old tires on a pit stop and without getting really any help the rest of that race?
That pissed me off. That's what they did. But I told those guys when I got hung out twice in that one lap, and I was like, screw you guys. You don't want to help me, then I'm going to go win this all by myself.
Well, you certainly did that.
I was just joking. I mean, this just goes back to running with these guys and learning stuff. I'm getting back to getting comfortable again. So yeah, that was fun.
Well, the next question kind of relates to what we did see, of course, with the pit sequence here tonight. Super hot track temp. You went with the strategy that initially got you the track position. Seemed like you were able to stick with the lead pack from there. Break us down a little bit how you kind of decided on that call and how you were able to still fight through it on those pit stops with older tires.
You just learn in these races, if you can stay in that group and at least go in with them and leave with some cars and just keep that little bit of a draft, I think you're good. It's when you make those mistakes getting into pit road and not, unchecking your tires or forgetting to check something else. And then, it's just that good entry and good exit. These new pedals I'm finally starting to get them used to them and getting a little bit better on my pit entry. I know I smoked the tires pretty good on, I think it was that first one, and I thought for sure I was going to get speeding on it, but we got in there safe, got out. McCullough worked with me a little bit there, just kind of keep me up front, and I'm just hanging around to see what happens at the end. And finally I get the chance to be kind of in front of that mess when it happens behind me, and then it's just a matter of blocking the runs. And we finally got one. I'm happy for PGR, happy for Michael. Hopefully these guys will start to recognize that I'm a guy that's going to be tough. Every Monday race, week in, week out from here on out.
Absolutely. Well, tough all night. And now that you've got that first win out of the way here for season 4, how does that kind of change the game plan for the rest of the season? Do you go out there and try to repeat it next week, or do you maybe try to work on helping a couple teammates to make it to the championship now?
It's just kind of see how the race plays out. I mean, I would love to, see, Trisquero get a win here, and any of my other PGR brothers, unfortunately Brock had some problems with his wheel connection, or, couldn't get it loaded up. Davenport, fell down the lap, and then, it's kind of just getting around these people and working and see who stay with you. Like I said, I got left there, but, I didn't give up. I just tried to stay and see what moves were going to play out, and I chose the right line, and I got a good push from Garrett there going into one and got me in front of Merck, and then it was just race to that checker flag, and luckily we got there before anybody else.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we appreciate you talking to us tonight. Before you go celebrate and enjoy your winnings, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Hey, thank you guys for the broadcast. You guys do awesome work. Can't wait to see all this stuff that's happening with PGR eSports and what Michael's really been working on. Can't wait to really get to showcase all that. So proud to be part of his team. Thank Cat's Meow Country Inn, my girlfriend's business, Jeff Hill Trailer Sales on there, and go Iowa Hawkeyes this week.
All right, and thank you for talking to us here tonight. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you out here next week.
10-4, bud.
All right, and it looks like we did not end up finding Garrett Maines, so that'll wrap up our coverage here tonight from Talladega. But, man, 2 weeks in a row now, Dawson. What a great race, and tonight, no cautions besides the stage break.
I hate to break up the party, but we do have Garrett Maines, like right now. All of a sudden, right as you said that, he popped in. So I don't know if we want to get him up here real quick.
On cue, just hopped in. Absolutely. We'll pull him in here. See if we can get him up here. Your third place finisher tonight, of course, was Garrett Maines. Garrett, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you go from a top 10 in the Coke Series race to a podium here for Tuesday Night Thunder. Pretty good night overall, but man, a dominant performance here tonight. You come up a little bit short there at the end. Is there anything you wish you could have done different on that last lap?
Yeah, I wish I could have got Jeff Merck the win there. I really thought we were going to get it done. I think we were doing a lot of moving around coming off of turn 4. We started off in the middle and we started moving up, and I was trying to line up with him, and I don't know if it was the effect of old tires or like if I got him aero loose, but like right before I slammed him on exit, I think he started to turn down the hill, or it got loose from me like getting close to him, and it just turned him down the hill even more when I did hit him. So I feel really bad for that, because him and Baker, had been doing really well. Kind of ruined their ending there. They were just short of the money, I believe, but they done a lot to help me in that race. So I really hate that had happened. I thought I was going to get it for him, but I don't know. Overall, it was a good race. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, with the way that race panned out, I mean, it was a brawl through and through. Even with the pit stops, like nobody ever got away. So I definitely enjoyed it. I'm glad Ron decided to do another season, and glad I got to come out this week.
And you brought up the fact that the tires could have potentially been an issue there at the end, and I want to ask you about that next, because scorching hot track temp to start the race, it lasted all the way through, and by the end there, you guys were all on relatively old tires. Did you kind of like the way that the cars raced better with that setup here tonight, and how do you feel like that kind of changed who was still in it at the end?
I think the hotter track temps brings a lot of skill into it, and I enjoy the way that it races, and especially like coming out of the pits, it's difficult to not spin the tires, but I don't know, it's very different. Where in the past it's not been nearly as floaty on entrance, especially at Talladega. Like maybe Daytona, you get into that, but there's definitely a bit of a skill gap, especially up front. Like when you're pushing or you're being pushed, like you really got to hold on to it. I think there was a lap car there that was up in the fight at the end, and he was getting kind of upset because, I mean, Triscaro was doing what needed to be done. He was pushing him, but like I don't think he was prepared to be pushed all the way through the corner, and sometimes that's what you got to do. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think it'll be fun if we continue to have hot races. Great. I mean, if there's a variety, I'm not going to complain. But I've done a few hot races lately in the trucks and in the Xfinity car now, and it's a good time.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you talking to us tonight. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a huge shout out to MCU Body, Lennox, the guys at Ryko Performance. Huge shout out to them this week. We had a really good car in Coke. If I could just qualify, we'd win a race. But big thank you to them. Also, thank you to Left Court Brothers and FGR XL for their support.
Thank you again for talking to us. Congrats on the podium finish, and we will see you out here again next week.
Thank you.
And now, similar to how we had to take 2 at the start, we'll take 2 here at the finish. That'll wrap things up for us here at Talladega. But again, Dawson, what a great race it was. Last week, we saw a great race tonight, maybe even a little better. Again, no cautions besides the stage brake caution. So seems like these guys are getting it figured out, even with the tough conditions, and it's putting on a great show for us up here in the booth.
I mean, I say it every time we have one of these kinds of races. These field strategy races that break up the field, it gives us a lot more to watch. It makes it a lot more fun to call. Tonight was no exception, and you get the added bonus of a really great stage finish and then a really great finish to the race. And then add on to that the storyline of a 1-2 for Team PGR, a win for JR Miller. Huge moment for all involved. Great finish, great racing. Sets us up great for Thursday and then also for next week.
Well, we'll be back next week to do it all again. Make sure you tune in for that one. That'll do it tonight for me, Austin Green, and Dawson Wise here on PGR eSports. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, have a good night.